It was like 2009. I was around 15 years old when I started reading Berserk. I realized by then that horror was my favorite genre, and the mix of horror and medieval setting fantasy just worked for me. My two favorite video games at the time were Dead Space and The Witcher 1, which I don't think has aged as well, mechanically speaking. Back then, Berserk still felt like a fairly obscure niche manga, with a lot of adult themes and violence that would make people's stomach turn. Dark Souls 1 hadn't even come out yet with its references to Berserk either, but these days it's easy to find hundreds and maybe even thousands of YouTube videos on Berserk. It's become a cultural sensation. But this video is going to be a little bit different. There's one panel in Berserk that did something to my brain. Something that would change my very perception of art and media. It was in Volume 9, Chapter 41, Arms Tournament. Miura introduces this mysterious character, his background unknown. At first glance, I thought, okay, I see you, Mr. Miura, using a swagged out depiction of real North Indian armor. As my eyes continued to take in the panel, I spotted the weapons. The unmistakable Indian fist weapon, the katar. Now, I was already a weirdo history nerd back then. I was drawing characters with katars and stuff, but I had never seen the weapon outside of like Indian movies that had it. Oh, and on that one freak from Soul Calibur 2, Voldo. But this was the first time I noticed legit, historically accurate Indian representation done by an artist from another culture. He even gave this dude kajal. That's when I knew Miura had to have been an ultra nerd to even know these details at the time, you know. However, I distinctly remember pulling back and thinking though, oh, this stuff is cool and all, but this is probably like a throwaway character anyway, like Jitsu in He-Man. Yeah, that happened. Because seeing a brown dude represented by another culture in a flattering way was alien at the time. Miura gave this dude a full-on dex build. He eventually gets whacked by Guts, of course. It's Guts. And I thought, okay, cool, that was cool. I guess that's that. Then I go on to the next chapter. It's Casca and the Band of the Hawk, chilling in the woods, you know, making some good old gruel and whatnot. They got this guy keeping watch. And he gets murked with a chakram. Then you get the panel of the assassin, yeah, Miura hasn't named it yet, doing this snooty aura farm, complaining about how easy that was. Then a bunch of his dudes come out and wreck the Band of the Hawk for a time. Guts shows up and they have their second showdown. This time, the mysterious assassin flexes more of his chakram skills. He throws a swerving trick shot to catch Guts off guard, but Guts counters easily, saying that it was like avoiding a mosquito bite. That's when this happens. I was like, no way, dude. There's no way someone outside the culture is depicting the Urumi. That actually blew my mind. I remember looking at this panel over and over again, just wrapping my head around what I had just witnessed at the time. He even got the multi-blade Urumi, which is like a real weapon, which is ridiculous in manga, but it's legit a real weapon. That's when I realized that Miura basically created the coolest amalgamation of Indian medieval elements of the North and the South. You got Northern armor and Southern dexterity. I mean, the martial art Kalari Paitha is literally maxed out dex build, no armor. The name they used in this translation for the Urumi though, speed ropes. Bruh, allow it. The fight goes on. The Urumi makes some new alterations to Guts' cloak. Guts dodges, gets caught up, then uses this unlucky dude as a human shield, which that looks painful, bro. What, you want some Neosporin or something? Okay, never mind. Guts comes to a stop and prepares his blade. The assassin, likewise, winds up his ultimate move, which Guts literally blows away with the wind from a single sword swing. The assassin knows he's cooked. Guts' Dragon Slayer comes crashing down. We all know how this ends. We've seen it in 100 panels already. But then, the assassin ditches the Urumi, and gets out of the way. Guts managed to cut up his turban, revealing his face. There's this panel that Miura drew with him cursing in what we're supposed to imagine is like a foreign language. So, allow me. And then the assassin's name is revealed, Silak. And then he nopes out of there. Miura must have had fun writing this dude because he definitely did the research, made him look cool, and also kept him alive. You couldn't help but feel like Miura was definitely cooking up something with that research hole he probably jumped into. With the vast amount of historical research no doubt swimming in the man's head at the time, there's no way he wasn't going to use all that. And then we get the Kushan Empire, which is basically Miura's synthesis of his research into various historical cultures across South Asia. You get Persian and Turkic elements in the main Kushan army, but there's diversity within it, just like how the region was historically. And you see this difference in the Bakiraka clan specifically, led by Silak. These dudes look specifically South Indian, and the name Bakiraka translates to outsiders. Miura literally wrote the Bakiraka as outsiders to the main Kushan Empire as well. The logic makes even more sense to me when you realize the real-life Kushan Empire that stretched from modern-day Uzbekistan down to Madura in Uttar Pradesh. The styles of deities, the language used in the naming conventions though, were definitely Indian, like 1,001%. Like the word Pishasha, which are flesh-eating demons in both real-world Hinduism and Buddhism. My mom literally used to call me Pishash whenever I was up to no good at home, by the way, as a term of endearment. That's how familiar I am with that word. Miura depicts the Pishash as these boss-level tanks in animal form, controlled by Kushan sorcerers, which I think is a pretty cool take on it. These sorcerers are led by this old uncle called Daiba, who is literally an Agori sadhu, like no edit, straight up Agori with the traditional ashen dreads and everything. Daiba literally describes Guts as a Kshatriya of Durga, the warrior goddess within Hinduism, and refers to Serpico as a Kshatriya of Vayu, the god of wind. Daiba even summons a Pishash called Kundalini in the form of an astral snake. The Kundalini in real life is a concept that is also depicted in Indian philosophy as a coiled serpent, sleeping at the base of the spine, aiming to move upwards through the body's chakra points. Miura even uses what I think is like Google Translate Hindi as the summoning mantra for Kundalini, Om Amriti Ham Pata Kundalini, which I think he was trying to translate, "O divine and immortal, I call upon Kundalini." Like a Pikachu, I choose you kind of thing, you know what I mean? Close enough, I guess. But I thought it was super cool when I read it. Silat pulls up with these hench Tamil Brahmin looking dudes that he calls the Tapasa. Tapas in real world Jainism and Buddhism refers to meditation practices that involve asceticism, including body mortification. In Vedic Hinduism, tapasya means forged by heat. The Vedic god of fire, Agni, is known as a tapasvin, or one forged by heat. Miura even put in the Rakshas in the story. Like, Rakshasa appears as malevolent creatures in Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, and even Indonesian folk Islam and a lot of indigenous cultures across India. The way Miura depicted the Rakshas is really interesting. Some of the panels are really cool, but it honestly gives Miyazaki movie character, like no face, more than a Rakshas as I understand it. But still, cool nonetheless. Then we have Ganishka, the Kushan Emperor, one of the most powerful apostles in the Berserk world. Apostles in Berserk, by the way, are people who used to be humans who in a moment of anguish and hardship used an artifact known as the Beilid to summon the God Hand and join the ranks of demonkind in exchange for a precious sacrifice. These sacrifices typically involve their human loved ones. Ganishka is based on the real-life Kushan Emperor, Kanishka, of the Kushan Empire in the real world. Emperor Kanishka reigned from 127 CE to about 150 CE. He was a patron of Mahayana Buddhism and is said to have been Kashmiri. The Berserk character Ganishka goes by many names in the manga. Serpent Prince, Dread Emperor, Demon King, Demon God, Thunder Emperor, and his final form, Shiva, a reference to Shiva the Destroyer. Anyone who's familiar with Kentaro Miura's work today knows how influential he's been to many who've come after. The Soul series and Elden Ring take a lot of inspiration from Miura's work. Many other video games do the same and pay homage. He even inspired teenage me to see art through a whole new lens just by representing a culture I grew up in the way that he did. I've been a reader of fantasy novels for a very long time, as long as I can remember. And for a long time, every setting was like a pseudo-European setting, like Game of Thrones and including Berserk, because that was the norm for a long time due to how the publishing industry worked. However, recently, we've seen some great new perspectives and fresh settings from a diverse array of voices in the last decade. From some of my personal favorites, Evan Winters with his exciting Burning series, to Rebecca Kwong's Poppy War. We got Tasha Suri's Jasmine Throne. There's so many more I haven't got the chance to read yet. Like, get this one, Indra Das's The Devourers, which is a story about Indian werewolves in the Mughal Empire. Bro, that description is so enticing to me. Hopefully one day I'll be on that list as well when I finish my book. Anyway, I hope you're having a lovely day. I just wanted to share that with you. Drop a like if you like this video, and thanks for making it this far. Please remember to subscribe as well. Have a great day. See ya.